discussions on the occult.
Nobody living has been in the OTO longer than I.
Astrology.
Welcome to Alan's Astro
And
Aspects.
it's finally set
The
up. We
paranormal.
are broadcasting.
I've
Got it.
been a paranormal investigator
This is my
for
weekly adventure.
almost 30 years.
That's
probably.
cool.
Paganism.
Our temple is called the Temple of the Greek God.
Human sexuality. This was during Victorian times where
What
a
is
woman
sex?
just showed her ankle or put on lipstick in
What is
public.
sex?
She could be just shamed and have her life
I don't know. I keep
ruined.
hearing people.
Holistic health.
I don't know.
What we're doing is
Apparently
an
religious
ancient
people
way
don't
of
like it much.
healing
I don't know. That's what I hear.
thousands of years old. This is
I don't get it.
World religions.
The first convening of the Parliament of the World's Religions was in 1893 in Chicago. I wasn't at that one.
And New Age philosophy.
There was the way of the monk, the way of the yogi, and the way of the fakir. And the fourth way incorporates all three.
The program will offend you.
I'm offended.
Traveling across the
I'm
ether
offended, dude.
through the
I do
interwebs
it.
and into your radio.
Oh, on the
You're listening
interwebs.
to Magic
Okay,
Radio
we are
Chicago,
coming on
your
very
Q4 doorway to the other side.
3, 2, 1. And welcome to Magic Radio Chicago, streaming live from 1680 AM and Q4.org, the station that creates beauty and defends it with magic. Welcome everybody to our 151st episode of Magic Radio Chicago, streaming live to you tonight on, what is tonight, April 6th, excuse me. April 6th. And we got a very special show in line for everybody tonight. Tonight I have a very special guest co-host, Mr. Bill Morton. Welcome back, Bill.
How's it going? I'm glad to be back.
Okay, well it goes, not like chaos, but
Yeah, well, we'll open that door.
yes, well that's what occultists do. They open doors, they get a flood, and then they learn to surf. But I guess, oh jeez, that was like there's like a secret learning I think on the drawing out.
No, we weren't supposed to know. Forbidden knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. You can have nightmares for a while. I do. Anyway, well, welcome to Magic Radio Chicago at Q4.org. And today, myself and Bill, we are going to be talking to some people from a group called Saving Ghosts. Have you ever heard of them, Bill?
It's a television show, isn't it?
As I understand it, it's a television show on Amazon Prime at the moment, and they do have a YouTube channel. This is a group, they go out and they conduct actual paranormal investigations. You can catch a lot of the highlights from their YouTube channel if you go to Saving Ghosts. And I was kidding, it was a lot like watching Ghost Hunters or one of those shows. I mean, it had that kind of quality to it. They had the night vision, they had recordings, they did seances in these places. It was really very interesting. And tonight I'm going to be talking to Mr. Philip Patrick Page, and he is one of the founding members of Saving Ghosts, and he'll be calling in just a minute. So, anyway, what's been going on with you lately, Bill?
Well, I've decided I'm going to run for 49th Ward Committeeman.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's coming up in 2020. It'll be the same election as the presidential election, so you can kind of judge the time by that one.
And what is that? I believe my something from the ether is coming through. You have reached Magic Radio Chicago. Hi, Philip. Thank you for reaching out across the ether to join us here in Chicago tonight. Welcome so very, very much. Have you ever met Bill Morton?
I have not, actually.
Bill, would you like to meet Philip Patrick Page from Saving Ghosts?
I'd love to. How you doing, Philip?
I'm doing fantastic, and congratulations on winning bronze.
Thank you very much. I think this is the time.
Oh yeah, this city's bright for change for sure. But Philip, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say that, just in the U.S. in general, we've been needing some pretty big changes to take place. So I do agree that you're moving into a great time, and just really the best of luck to you. It's just fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Now, thank you for calling in, Phil, and you're talking to us at Q4 Radio, Q4.org, the station that creates beauty and defends it with magic. And so, if you could tell us, Phil, how did it begin? First, who are you guys?
Well, we are based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and the three of us have actually worked with each other in the past
That's awesome.
And it broke us teams broke always being in touch. And this was a project that I had wanted to do for a long time, but trying to get somebody to always do it and really express something like that was hard. And when we set the project, I said, hey, Mr. Talk this to me. And, what do you think? And Gina is a believer, so she was on board. Curtis had experienced it, but he is still on the side of skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wanted to do it himself. So he was immediately on board. And that's how we know each other. That's how we got together for this project.
Okay, so just to elaborate, the founding members consist of yourself, Gina, and Curtis. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I just want to get the names straight for the listeners, so we have no idea who we are yet. Okay, so how did your interest in the paranormal begin?
Well, my journey into it actually started when I was a kid. And it wasn't the curiosity. It was something that was present and whatnot. And I'm sure my story is much different than most people because I was experiencing things as a kid, I think primarily because of what my stepdad had brought into the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how much detail we can get into it in regards to my experience.
Well, we want to hear about your experience. What did your stepdad bring into the house?
Well, he was just his own background was rough. His stepdad was his mom's cousin who tried to hang himself off a banister in front of the kids, and
Oh, that's awful.
there was a lot of different types of abuse in the house that I think, of course, that type of stress is going to bring in negative emotions, entities, so forth and so on.
Energy.
And I think they attached.
Mm-hmm.
And when
If I may, I know some professional light workers that would actually lend some credence to what you just said there too, because very often, like some of the things we carry with us and the moods that it induces actually kind of just attracts like to like. Sometimes I'm sorry, but I was gonna say like one quickie theory I had about some of these types of hauntings, attachments or things of that nature. It kind of occurs to me sometimes like we get the creep factor from them in terms of their presence. They're a ghost and they're heavy and they make us feel terrible. But like sometimes I think like that's just the creepy vibe factor. Sometimes I think they might have been just incredibly lonely in life and they're still in that mindset.
right, and actually you touched on a few different topics right there. If you don't mind, if I can go back to the
Please.
original, and it gets into the law of attraction, that what you put out there is going to come back to you. And so I think that's what was happening to them. Um, but I do think, just as a sidebar, in regards to what you were saying, that we also have to be able to identify and separate just that initial, chill, creepy feeling from an actual negative, oppressive, either feeling or entity. And so, because of what had happened to him, I think he received attachment. Then, of course, married my mom, which then brought in a variety. Because I was 5 when they were married. I started experiencing things when I was about 11, 12, which is about that age when we're going through the hormone changes and all that.
Oh, it's all part of the deal, yeah. So
Exactly.
with psychic phenomena, that's a big part of it right there too.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm very much that cliche. Preteen, starting to have experiences, and between hearing footsteps, hearing my name called, and hearing glass shake in my closet when I had no glass, all of these different things.
Wow.
Taking
That's quite a bucket list right there. Yeah, it'd be hard to deny that something was going on in your house.
well, and I'm very much just skimming the surface of it, and I'll never forget. It was getting so bad that I was in my room, and I said, "I'm done. I don't want to play anymore," and everything stopped. And then years later, I was in a fairly bad relationship, and I moved to Portland, Oregon, and it was about 4 o'clock in the morning when I heard this deep, guttural
And you weren't dating any, and you weren't dating goths at the time, were you?
In Morton I was, actually. But
Then that might add to the possibility for patchouli in your life.
there was so much things.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You know the environment, I don't. So I'll give you that. Okay.
Well, and I'm still very much a fan, to be honest with you. So,
It's fun.
but it was just all these experiences that I had that a little over a year ago, it was still eating at me, and I thought, okay, there's more to this. I know there's more to this. And I was watching a particular show on TV, and I was getting upset that these investigators were going in, creating a lot of havoc, but not really.
Don't touch the microphone.
Not helping anyone else.
Wow, that does sound familiar. Yeah, I recall having similar thoughts about a certain show of that nature. I think we're on the same page here. Yeah. Basically, okay, if I may share real quick, since this is from in circles like ours, this is common knowledge. Okay, ghost investigation on seances, that occult ritual, they all follow the Fight Club rules. Okay, first of all, don't disturb the environment. Don't disturb the environment. And did I mention don't freaking disturb the environment? The environment, you don't walk into a place that is reportedly haunted and going boom, boom, boom. Yo, any ghosts in here? Yeah, I bet you scared of me, ain't you? I'm a big contractor guy. I could kick your butt. Now show yourself. And how does that work? Not to mention, even if it is haunted, you could go home with an attachment because you pissed it off. Or the people that live there could get attacked. It's like that's a bad methodology. That's my piece. Please continue. That's my rant.
If you go in with respect, if you go in with love, and if you go in with intentions, now granted, it makes for, this is what we have been told, it makes for boring television, but you know what? I would rather be truthful in the reporting than go for ratings.
Yeah, I would have to go with you. I would have to agree with you there. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot of sponsorship for something like that, which unfortunately does derail the credibility of the findings.
Exactly. I can't tell you how many times we've been told, oh, you guys are kind of boring. Well, you know what? I'm sorry to tell you this, but if you've been doing this, let's say like some people for 18 seasons, and you're still screaming and yelling when you get the EVP, come on, it's paranormal investigation, which I like to talk, just mention real quick in regards to that. I don't really consider ourselves investigators per se. I like to consider us someone who's just trying to help. And so if we go in and we do get an EVP or we do get into dispossibles, which is most of what we get, for those who are fans of these commercial-based paranormal shows, yes, we will read as a little more boring. But you know what? We are truthful in our findings. And I would, again, just going full circle on this, I'd much rather be truthful in what we do and have a smaller base than go for ratings and act it up and, in doing so, show disrespect to the spirits.
And that's what YouTube's for. You can put all that extra footage, all that real stuff on YouTube for the people who are really interested. It has very little to do with ratings. I had a question about Curtis. He's a skeptic, correct? How does he fit into this? You've got a nice mix of believer and skeptic. That's always good to have a diverse kinds of people in your group. So how does he fit into helping people?
Every now and then. And so he's great at doing that. But he's had enough of experiences in his past to make him question, make him go, well, is there more? Was I actually seeing what I was seeing when I was a kid?
No, it answered the question. He kind of reels you in and keeps it real. At a time when when you guys could be pretty excited, he'll throw the wet blanket on there, so you can have more accurate findings.
You know, from a scientific point of view, this is the only way really to have any credibilities. You gotta have to go at it like Sherlock Holmes. You basically, when you can disprove all the other possibilities, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And I think that's what you guys gotta work with. Otherwise, these findings can just be dismissed with everything else.
Exactly, and that's what it does bring to our table. Our biggest debate, 9 times out of 10, would be surrounding orbs.
Oh, I believe that. Orbs are very easy to discount.
Debunk. Mm-hmm. Do you go down and do you drill down on the magnification, and do you look for faces? Do you look at the colors or the glow or the size? I mean, when you're having the debate about orbs, where does it go?
What we do is we do break it down. What I look for is intelligent movement, because it is so easy to mistake dust as an orb. But we look for color. Is it brown, green? Is it silver? Is it white? Is it black? Because I have seen black orbs in the past. We look for intelligent movement. Is it floating up or down, or is it going down a hallway, turning left into a room,
Mm-hmm.
and then disappearing through a wall, let's say?
Mm-hmm.
We have this node we're editing right now. When we go into one of the child's rooms of this house, and I say something to the effect of, if you are here, can you manifest, can you float by me? And we see this silver object appear out of the wall, flow over my head, and then through the other wall. And so we do look for movement, color, and we also look to see if there are any EVPs back one side with the movement. Sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please. And also, just on that same kind of subject of the moving orbs and the motion, have you experienced the vortexes?
We went into an office building that reportedly had 3 vortexes in it.
Wouldn't be a corporation by any chance, would it?
I'm
I'm just, I'm just kidding. It wouldn't be a corporation. It wasn't a corporate office, was it?
Well, funny that you should say that.
Aha.
That was had a variety of smaller corporate offices in it, and so
Mm-hmm.
it supposedly had 3 vortexes in it. I personally didn't feel anything when I was in there,
Mm-hmm.
and we really had no activity except for in the meeting rooms. We had a ton of activity. There were names specific to Nevada that we captured, and but as far as any other vortexes in any of our other locations, we haven't really experienced any. I'd like to though. And I mean, as far as just the experience, I'm sure it would be amazing.
Now, what kind of equipment do you use to record this phenomenon?
We are basic, I guess you could say, in our equipment usage. My favorite is the SB7 Spirit Box. My absolute favorite.
You use a spirit box? I've seen a spirit box at work. We actually had one here on the radio station a couple months back. Yeah, those are crazy. I'm surprised you used one in the field.
Yeah, in fact, I have designed 2. I call them ITC assist devices, and what they are what's called the Angel Phone, what's called the Angel Box. The Angel Phone is comprised of crystals, charged crystals, an EM pump,
Mm-hmm.
as well as noise cancellation and reverb for the SB7 Spirit Box that will get rid of the scanning sound that it makes,
Mm-hmm.
that white noise scanning sound.
And that comes with the EM pump, right? Mm-hmm.
exactly. It tracks itself. Should something appear. So our equipment is fairly basic, but also, it's got some great um, images and audio as a result of it.
Have you ever gone old school with like the powder?
Powder, no, but candles I have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me just for the sake of our listeners, I think I want to elaborate. By powder, do you mean like let's say if one of our listeners out there thinks that perhaps there's a haunting in their house and things are getting moved around, and maybe nobody's listening because ghosts. One trick of the trade is to dust your floor or whatever, or that area that gets moved a lot with baby powder or something, just to show like if something's moving or like little footsteps or.
That's great for
fingerprints.
intruders of all kinds.
Very true. Yeah, it works on nosy landladies too. Yeah.
Yep.
And, to be honest with you, it's one of those that whenever we go out to do one of these investigations or to try to help out where we can, I just never think of dusting an area. I would like to actually introduce more of the old school ways of doing things.
I got to imagine like there's in a site I feel like there's got to be room for all of the above. Whatever is working that you can document probably should be the direction you should go.
Well, and I agree, and I think if we go about this in an intelligent way, I did a little blurb on the science behind those and what they are, how they come about. So I never think about we are just energy, pure energy, and then thermodynamics tells us that energy doesn't die, it just moves on. So if you can think about how energy can be harnessed and how that energy can then translate and move items or manipulate the energy in the room so that they can either communicate or move items, then you can start playing around with what devices you can use.
So you're referring to like residual energy.
Well, I am a firm believer of residual and intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
I love the stone tape theory as far as something so tragic has happened in a spot that it imprints itself into the land, therefore giving you that replay, kind of that old school 8-track replay in a way of residual.
I've been saying that for years. It's like when you take a videotape and you've been recording your favorite show every week. You may notice that on the, like I recorded Seinfeld yesterday, and today I recorded a different episode of whatever show. And I might be watching the rerun when I get home from work, but then I'll notice that there's a slight ghost outline, as they literally call it, going across the screen from the previous shows. And that's really just kind of a residual bump in the magnetic spectrum of the tape. But a lot of people aren't aware that happens in the air. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so true. That's so true because there's a study being done, I believe it is in South Korea, about the electromagnetic energy that is released from humans. And EMF is everywhere. It is everywhere. And we release it through heat, mainly through our scalp. And so when someone passes, if you notice, they get cold from their feet on up. And it releases through their scalp, through their head. And that's where we kind of believe that your soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's the essence that makes you you will leave. And it's all through that EM field. And if we can study that more, if we can harness that for now we have a way to communicate. Because again, energy doesn't die. And that's kind of our approach.
I'm totally on board with you there, Philip. Just to step back for a second, for the benefit of our listeners, what I wanted to explain is that Philip and I are actually discussing the differences between different kinds of hauntings. A residual, as he mentioned, is basically just a magnetic playback in the air. It's not like a true ghost in the way that we think of it. It's just kind of like a mirage. It's just kind of there. And it's largely charged by weather or how emotionally charged the situation was in combination with the weather or other factors at that time. A true haunting is when something is aware of you and you're aware of it, and you can actually like kind of give each other signals. You can interact in any way, like, or in various ways, like you could with anyone else. Maybe you can hear them, maybe you can't, but either way, if you're aware of each other, then it's definitely a haunting. Whereas, as Philip has said here, residuals are just basically just playbacks in the air. There's really nothing to be afraid of.
Highly charged emotional events can create those residual hauntings. Like you said, they're nothing to be scared of. In fact, you really shouldn't go into any situation with a spirit or a haunting with fear.
Honestly, I treat ghosts like bad roommates. No, I'm serious. I have actually lived in a couple of places that clearly something was going on there.
You put your name on the food in the fridge?
I did. Okay, let me explain something. One day I came home. This place was clearly haunted. It wasn't like in your face activity, but it wasn't too subtle either. You know, like you could be walking up the stairs to go, you know, because it was like a 2 or 3 level old building that my friend owned, and it was like the Addams Family house, but her friends rented rooms there, and I was one of them, and I remember like you could go up the stairs, and I'm fully aware that I'm going up the stairs, but I'm feeling the footprints right next to me as something's going past me, you know, and then there's times where like I was just in my room, and completely out of the blue, the door would blow open, and my first response is, "What do you want? Did you knock? I didn't hear any knocking." That's like, I don't care if you're alive or dead. This is my room. I'm paying for it. Do not just presume you could just barge into my room. I've also been an occultist for many years. There's certain attitudes you have to take with these kind of things. Can't let them walk all over you. Got to get your street cred up in the afterworld, But, well, anyway, oh, please, go on. Okay, well, I was just going to say on that point, we could take a musical break right about now, but you sounded like you had a story, so why don't we just stretch that a little? Okay, what were you going to say, Philip?
Real quick, you're talking about that situation. I had something very similar about a month ago. I have a small dog, and from time to time, I was downstairs in the living room watching TV, and he decided to go on and start barking. Well, behind me, I heard a loud whisper, loud whisper, say, "Shut up," in regards to him barking. And I remember turning around offended, and I said, "Hold on, you don't tell him to shut up."
That's my dog, damn it.
It's not your dog. Get out of here. You have no right to be here.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, I can tell you, that's the first time I've ever been offended by a ghost.
All right. Well, with that being said, I think it's about time for our first musical segue. What do you think, Bill?
I think that's great. You should always take care of your pups.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, whatever that. Okay, I know guys may have a different meaning for that, but that's a whole other ball of wax. Okay, so with that being said, Philip, I will be back very shortly. We're just going to take a quick musical break. You are listening to Magic Radio Chicago. For our listeners out there who are feeling a little shy tonight, why don't you send us a message through Magic Radio Chicago.